Thank you, thank you. Hi, guys. I hope everybody's having a wonderful reInvent this week. Listen, we're going to talk about a really important topic in this session, which is how to build AI products, applications, agents, use cases that people really want to use. And I'm going to take you through some of the key things that we've learned at deepset, going through many hundreds of different iterations of working with companies across industries, of some key 4 points that I think we can share with you today that'll help all of you build more successfully, more predictably, quicker, but also with real trust, real adoption, real love for the things that you put out into the market, whether it's internal or external. So we're going to share those with you, 4 points, and then we're going to talk through some real examples of what that really looks like for some different customers as well. Sounds good? All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So I mentioned we've worked with a lot of different customers from many different industries building AI applications, from Gen AI to NLP to vision to all different types of permutations, whether you're building RAG, search, BI solutions. At deepset, we've been in the space, probably like many of you, for quite some time, coming from different backgrounds, whether it's NLP, data, different forms of AI. We started in 2018. As Attention Is All You Need was debuting the year before. The first Google BERT model came out, and we started applying this new AI technologies for companies like Airbus, Siemens, for government entities as well. Over that time, we started to codify that knowledge into the Haystack framework, which is an open source framework for building LLM and AI applications kind of block by block, much like we do here with many things at AWS. And over time, we start to bring that onto the AWS infrastructure so that that could be combined with everything you need, from storage to compute to tooling to the enterprise support to the security, to basically 5x to 10x the development time of building applications and doing it in such a way that it is very battle-tested and robustly interacted with subject matter experts within these companies and organizations, so that the end product is really ready for showtime. And every time we start working with new customers, new organizations, there's always some set of different challenges, some things that we can sort of foresee over the hill that we know we're going to have to confront. And in some cases, some of those challenges may be on the technical side, right? We heard about some of this in the keynote earlier this week, right? Hallucinations, how do we deal with that? These solutions are representing our brand, they're representing our companies. We need to make sure that we can trust that they're saying and acting the way that we would as humans. In some cases, we're worried maybe about things like prompt injections. Is this going to be a secure system? This is an example here where GM had a bit of a hole here, right? And you know, we don't want to go to market selling our trucks for $1, right? That's going to be a pretty bad day of the week, no matter which day it is. And we certainly don't want to be recommending people to eat rocks to get their proper mineral intake, right? But these are some of the things that can be mitigated, you know, very thoughtfully, but very predictably today with technology. We can catch these things in AI systems with the right componentry around models to make sure that these things don't happen. And we're doing these things today with many customers to make sure that that is alleviated. But what's really the biggest risk? That's what we're going to talk about here today and how to deal with it. So you think about building AI applications, and let's think about ones that are really mission critical, not the easy ones, the ones that our companies are really depending on internally or with our customers, that these really need to work. We're making a big bet here. So you're going through the months of planning and talking about it, and you're starting to get ready, and you do all the development, and you're going into launch day, and you put it out there, and it's crickets, and you've got single-digit adoption. This is the biggest risk that we think is in the market today, is building things that people don't actually want to use, right? Because we are putting a lot of time, effort, resource, and a lot of strategic value on these AI applications. They really need to work. They need to be things that our end users really want to use and love and adopt. So I'm going to talk you through 4 key things that we've seen help mitigate that larger universal risk Starting with number one, which is not a technology consideration, it's the human side of this. And this is the proper start to beginning to build any type of product, right? Is to understand user needs. So let me give you an example of what this might look like. So let's say you're a media or a publishing company, and here comes Gen AI. And you're thinking about how might we actually want to start to use this within our business and our subscriber relationships. Well, your gut instinct might tell you this could be a really great way for us to generate more content than we ever can or ever have been able to before. But thoughtfully, you take a step back and you say, let's actually ask our subscribers, our readers, our visitors, what do they want? And you find out that there's a surprising bit of feedback that they're actually overwhelmed today with how much you're actually producing for them. They can't keep up with it. So what you need an LLM solution to do is not produce and generate more content. You need to curate content. You need to drive a more personalized experience for people to consume all the content that you're already creating. Right? And you need to go through that same type of process as well if you're building, let's say, an applications for salespeople. You need to make sure that you understand what are the bottlenecks. Is it lead generation? Is it RFP completions? Is it onboarding new reps? Is it dealing with fast changes within your industry that you can't keep up with? You need to spend time in that space with those real humans to understand what they really need solved. And that brings you to a place where you can create a hypothesis behind what you want to build, right? Before you've even touched any line of code. So let's say now you have a hypothesis for what you want to build with your AI. Now you actually want to start building some things. But there's oftentimes a conflation or confusion about what that really means. And it's not just about building a quick demo, maybe something that you show your stakeholders or your board to quickly kind of show the idea off, but really very limited, right? Working on toy data, something that's just running on your machine. You actually want to build a real AI prototype, real software, working on real data that is going to be ready to be battle tested by your subject matter experts. You actually want to bring these people into the equation, right? If it's your lawyers, your finance professionals, your salespeople, your marketers, your HR, your operations, you want to bring them into the process to iteratively go through and make sure you understand what they're telling you doesn't work in this system so that you can fine tune it and iterate it so it's production ready. So we're prototyping with purpose, building our first solution very quickly in a way that's ready to be shared with people that can tell you how to make it really good. And that brings us into step 3, which allows us to then lower the barriers of adoption. So now we're going to learn what are the different parts of our AI system that we need to start customizing. And oftentimes I hear real builders, real customers talk about this as, how do we get that last 20 or 30% of our solution right? How do we understand what are the next critical design decisions that we need to make as builders so that this solution, when we launch it on day one, has already incorporated the feedback from our end users and is ready to go. This is an example here that you see inside of our platform where we're actually asking real questions of end users to get their feedback, both in written form, thumbs up, thumbs down, answering golden questions, comparing those things, so that we can understand if this system is going to really hold up under strenuous use and address the corner cases that maybe we don't see in the early prototyping phases. And then step 4, as we're going through this process, we want to make sure that we measure not only the technical aspects of the solution that we've created, such as the precision, the recall, the F1, the groundedness, right? Are we accurate in our AI predictions? Are we able to retrieve the right information? Are our outputs from our data connecting with the LLM, are they well grounded in the information? Or is there too much gap there and there's hallucination in a negative way being possible? That's one thing. But if you go to the right-hand side, these are product metrics that we also have to bring into the equation. So activation rate. Are users adopting and reaching those aha moments that we believe will create users that return on a day-to-day basis? Task completion time. Are we making their lives more productive? Is our hypothesis about the speed, for instance, actually coming true? Retention. Are people coming back? And of course, ROI, so we can understand what the business impact of this is. And I think if we think about these types of metrics, if you go back to whatever your last role was on day one, when you're getting set up with all your new systems, all your new logins, there's a certain set of those applications that you don't need to be told to use them. You just love them. They actually make your life really easy. They're really well designed. They've been thoughtfully created, and they've been obviously very, very tested with user feedback. And then there's a set of applications that you really feel like, man, this really didn't interact with enough humans before it came out. It's a bit laborsome. I'll use it, but I really don't love it. Okay, so in summary, what this is really talking about is that this isn't about what AI as a technology can do when we're building with it for our businesses and our customers. It's about what your users needed to do. And we want to be able to customize these AI systems to work, to solve, and reason like we do and like we needed to do for our customers. So taking the steps of understanding our user needs, translating that hypothesis into a prototype that we can purposefully bring to our subject matter experts and battle test and learn, so we can lower the barriers of adoption and then come out with a fantastic solution that people want to adopt and use, and we can measure that success. Okay, so let's go from the theoretical to some practical. So I'm going to tell you a story about a customer, company of ours, a Amazon user as well, YPulse, and how we've worked together to help them build a customer-facing assistant in their research to be able to understand a really interesting set of information and data that's really valuable probably to a lot of you here and to companies around the world. Because YPulse is an authority on Gen Z and millennial research and trends. They help big businesses understand where the market is moving with younger consumers. So think about Spotify, YouTube, Google, Apple. These are the types of customers that benefit from the work that YPulse does, understanding what young users, subscribers, buyers, individuals out there are thinking about, how they're changing, and so they can tap into it and modernize their companies and stay current with the new user bases. So YPulse, as a company, as we started to speak with them, we started to learn about what is this information and how does it exist. And they're a pretty prolific organization. Today they have well over 4,000 different reports and pieces of research around these audiences, and that information continues to grow every year, as you can see here. And it's supported underneath all of that by more than 15 billion different data points through all the different surveys and data collection that they do to base their research on. So they have research that's based on survey results, and then they have raw data as well. And as I said, these corporate customers, this is what they want to delve into and read and check out and understand so they can use it in their strategies as they go forward. Now, that example that I gave you before about understanding user needs, well, YPulse is very used to reaching out and getting people's feedback. So this is the first thing that they did. Before they built anything, they asked that question: what can we do better? What would you like to see from us? What's not working today? And in fact, these customers came back and said to them that you guys have so much good information that we cannot consume all of it in a given week, in 2 weeks. As you guys keep pumping out all this information, we can't keep up with it. And in fact, it makes us feel like we have FOMO, and it makes us feel like we're maybe not getting all the value out of this subscription-based service that we should be. And instead of being a good thing of having all this information, it actually creates some risk, because people don't feel like they're maybe getting the full value out of it. And so there's a churn risk there as people are thinking about the investment versus what they're getting back. And so they went through that process to understand that this is not going to be a creation use case that's critical for the success of their company. It's going to be a new way to consume this information that is directly based on exactly where you are and the questions that you have, and all this information can wrap around that and answer the very specific things that you need to know that'll guide your business to understand these young users. Like this. So they started kind of thinking about what could this experience look like. So this is a nice kind of timeline to see what did those 4 steps really look like in practice. And we had a great opportunity to work closely with the team. The executive team was involved from the business side. The product team was involved. Their engineers and developers were involved. We brought everybody together to look at this opportunity and to stage out their participation from the start to the end. Which, by the way, the end really never is the end. It keeps going as we iterate and learn, right? But from day one, as we started to kick this off, in the first 2 weeks, we were able to take that hypothesis from what they learned about their customers and start to put that into a prototype. Not just a basic demo, but something that we were getting ready to battle test with the subject matter experts that we knew could make this a very, very successful product launch, and one that they had decided strategically was going to be a key new monetization lever. So it has to be not only good enough to be adopted, but good enough to actually say, I want to pay for this as well. Okay, so 2 weeks in, we start getting some data in there, we load the 4,000 reports in, we're starting to ask it questions, we're seeing responses inside of deepset, we're playing with different models. In fact, Dan Coates, the president of YPulse, said, you know, for this few months before we even got into this, we had a lot of theoretical decisions or discussions about should we go this way in a model or this way. Once we met deepset and started working together, we realized we could actually just test all of these right next to each other. There's no big deal here, right? So we start to do that, we start to understand the data, the model piece, and we start to feel like, okay, we've got about 70% of the way there in 2 weeks. Now let's start to open this up. So we're going to bring in our subject matter experts. These are the researchers, these are the writers, these are the people that can actually tell you whether or not this research assistant can kind of stand up to the level or the par that they are as humans advising real clients day to day. And we brought them in to test the system with different sets of questions, starting with 25, 50, 100, 200, et cetera, and start evaluating the system. We started to learn things about this as well, not only in the data and the model side, but the UI side, the actual user experience. We found that some people didn't know the right things to ask yet. So we actually had to start to surface certain prompting questions. We found that people want to have certain UI experiences in terms of how they control the dating and the filtering and things like that. And so we were doing that step that we talked about, right? We're lowering barriers of adoption, understanding what's confusing, what's hard, and starting to build that directly into the solution as we're going. As we get to 9 weeks, we're now in a place where we can actually start to bring in the real beneficiaries of this. These are the subscribers, these are the real customers. And so we launched the beta program together and found out that this actually was going to create quite a bit of excitement. We had 75% participation from the user base, and during the time that we were running the testing, overall engagement with all of the digital properties with YPulse went up 25%. So people were really getting in there and using it, and again, giving their feedback, guiding us so that we could build a solution that was really good for them. We also asked them, or YPulse did, how valuable do you think this would be? And the average response came back and said, this would be 30% more valuable to us based on what we pay to you today, YPulse. And so we started to get some monetization information for the business to understand how we can actually launch this from a monetization point as well. The last few weeks of this was kind of compiling all the feedback, and then we brought it out in 120 days and launched a no person in the middle, fully out there solution that is fully monetizable and now ready for the customers. And I'll tell you in a few minutes here about what those stats look like, what they saw. But I think a key point here is, you would think that maybe you're done here. This is it, right? We succeeded. Great, we've done it. What we started to then see with our users, together with YPulse, is that people were asking different types of questions. Things that maybe weren't in the research data. And so this started to bring us into the raw data. They were asking for actually specific data points and trends that existed in the 15 billion data points that they had. And so the pipeline needed to be V2'd and iterated again. And so we were able to then bring in the next level, and this actually becomes the next edition of their monetized product, AI Plus or AI Pro, where now you can actually ask questions that's based on the research or the structured data as well. And this pipeline that runs on deepset is able to detect and understand the intent of those questions, route it correctly through the right resources, applying the right models that best answer those questions, and bring it all together to a response that people value. So, as we went through this process with YPulse, some of the key things that they've talked about as being really important. We talked about the composability, some of the things that we've done at deepset, building this building block way of creating applications with data, with models, with different customized components. That's a super important part of it. But they also really valued that this framework, this way of building is all running on top of this AWS infrastructure within the deepset platform. So when you think about data management, becomes super simple. You don't have to worry about actually setting all of that up. That's just ready to go, but fully configurable on your side. And by the way, if you have your own data, you can do that too. Modular AI product development, so as we're going through all those iterative cycles, getting subject matter feedback, we can immediately go to the pipeline and start to make those tweaks and make those changes, and then send it right back out to the end users and see if we've got it right. That agility was one of the most important things of getting there in 120 days and not getting there in 6 months or 12 months, right? We were able to cycle those feedbacks really quickly. And then the deployment, again, because all of this is running on top of AWS infrastructure inside of deepset Cloud, it just becomes moving from a development pipeline to a full production pipeline that auto scales very, very quickly. So I see we're coming to the end of our time here, so I'll speed up here a little bit, but in summary, what YPulse is able to do in those 4 months is prototype with purpose, get that participation, build that community interaction, building the product together, and we're on track to have a 5x ROI to meet our fourth part of our equation as well. So, just in closing, I invite you guys to come to the booth. We're in 221 in the marketplace, so if you'd like to talk about your solutions, the things that you're building, the questions that you have, both technical and business side, we can talk through that with you. We can talk through how we integrate with the different aspects of AWS within the platform. And we can talk to you about other types of use cases and solutions that we've worked on, particularly with Bedrock in different industries, within legal, within finance, internal, external, but all really very mission critical applications that you need to get right, you want to ship fast, and you want to make sure that they are successful. So I thank you for your time. I hope you guys take these 4 points to avoid the common pitfalls of launching a product that no one wants to use and build a solution that users want to adopt and love. And thanks again for your time today.